This Chat with the Experts is brought to you by Angie's List on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to Chat with the Experts. I am Kyle Hawk, and I am joined today by Larry Greene from Case Design and Remodeling here in Indianapolis. And we're talking about home improvement projects, both how to manage those projects, and we're getting ready to talk about projects that you can do during the winter months. I wanted to, kind of turn that conversation, Larry, towards some very specific projects that can happen. We talked last week about, things to look forward to in the spring, but once winter comes, you still want to get some things done. One item to consider includes upgrading your walls with new molding, trim, and paint. Is that potentially a DIY project? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
It is. I think the painting for sure can be done by yourself, but the molding, if you have the type of equipment, tools for that, it takes a little bit of practice.
Sure.
To cut everything right and nail it in right. And my thought on that is it probably takes you 2 or 3 weekends to do something that you could pay someone to get done in 3 hours.
Yeah.
But it depends if you have a knack for that and you have the tools. Problem is, a lot of times it doesn't pay to go buy $200 worth of tools to do a project that would cost you $200 to hire out. So
sure.
It depends on if you have a passion for learning how to use those tools, basically.
Yeah. Something you had mentioned during the break is all the things that you can do in the basement during the winter months. I mean, what are some examples of, are you talking about a complete basement overhaul or specific projects to start, chipping away at things that need to be done down there?
Well, we really see two kinds of basement projects. One is where it's completely unfinished, and the family's looking at it like, hey, this is space we could use, but it's just not finished at all. So the home was built, and it just never was finished.
Right.
The second issue would be it's already finished, but it was done in the last 5 to 10 or 15 years, and it's just kind of plain Jane. There's no features that are exciting. There's not a bar. There maybe isn't a bathroom. It's just a kind of a generic basement with drywall and paint and carpet. And so people a lot of times will want us to design something. We call it where you jazz it up. We're
Sure.
going to jazz up your basement.
Yeah. Look
for functional areas that a TV area, a bar area, a gaming area, whatever that a workout exercise room, and there's actually quite a bit of design on those because you're trying to make it look different. And there's lots of things you need to consider with those projects.
Yeah, definitely. And the basement is such an area that, it's very confined to the indoors. So the winter months obviously lend themselves well to working in that area. Something we talked about last week, was like a complete kitchen remodel. That's something that you might want to plan for the spring months. It's a project that takes a while to set into motion. But something small that you could do in the meantime to spice it up would be to add a new backsplash. What does that process entail?
Well, we consider that a cosmetic remodel, meaning you're not gutting the room, you're not taking out all the cabinets, you're doing, kind of a facelift of the kitchen. That's a really good bang for the buck project. So things like the backsplash, lighting, you can do some moldings, painting, plumbing fixtures, appliances. Anyway, the point is you're going to make a pretty big impact visually, but you're not going to spend the money or the time on a full kitchen remodel.
Right.
A backsplash specifically, the thing I always think about is, you can do that. It's pretty economical. It might only take a couple days. I would say 2 things. One, make sure you have somebody that knows how to pick out the tile and make it look right from a design perspective. And secondly, don't forget that there's other things you can do. Before you put the new tile up, for example, a lot of times we'll put in lighting underneath the cabinet. It's called under cabinet lighting. And the reason we do that is we can cut holes there in the drywall where the backsplash is and then cover those holes up with the tile.
Yeah.
If you put the tile in and then 6 months later, you think about accent lighting, well, now you've got a problem. It's harder to get the wiring in. So there's some little things to think about that have a certain sequence. But a backsplash is a great visual. It actually protects the kind of drywall behind, above the countertop. It also is a visual element that looks great.
Yeah, and I think we all know of a friend or family member who's talked about, I'm putting in a new backsplash. Some of those projects go well, some of them don't. What do you advise as far as how DIY that project actually is?
Well, a tile backsplash, if you pick out the tile and then really you don't like in a shower, you have to use cement board, special underlayment that's underneath the tile. You can adhere tile in a kitchen right to the drywall.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is you might want to think about electrical. Some people will put in decorative receptacle plates and decorative switch plates. Mm-hmm. You might want to think about the lighting issue I just mentioned. But the actual process of installing tile, that's probably one of the easier DIY projects is a backsplash. That's one of the more simple tile projects to tackle.
You mentioned the accent lighting, and that's another small project that might be good for the winter months. What options are there when it comes to overhauling the lighting in your home? I know you've got things like putting in a ceiling fan or doing recessed lighting. What should you be thinking about?
Well, we think of lighting in the two big categories is accent lighting, and then the second one is just your overall room lighting. We do a lot of recessed can lighting in our market. We also recommend dimmer switches and zoning. Zoning means that you don't just flip a switch and every light comes on on the floor.
Sure.
We try to ask the homeowner how they live, where they spend time, and we zone everything so that they can have a switch for each zone, and it's on a dimmer. You can control the lighting, which actually kind of controls the ambiance and the mood of the room and everything.
Yeah.
Accent lighting is overlooked a lot. It's under cabinet like we just talked about, but it's also pendants over an island or over a peninsula in a kitchen. General lighting like ceiling fans those are big in screen porches, outdoor living rooms, maybe a big family room or great room. You just want to, I think what we see is homes built maybe from the 80s and earlier just don't have enough lighting.
Right.
So that's another thing to be careful of depending on the age of your home.
Yeah, I'm sure from your perspective and talking about lighting, you're thinking from a design standpoint of like we're doing a complete remodel or rework of this room, and now we're going to incorporate the new lighting to accent these different areas. But it sounds like you can also come into an existing situation and just improve the lighting. Is that right? Yeah.
For example, a lot of times we're doing a kitchen remodel, and the homeowner will say, hey, while you're here, look at my family room. It's just adjacent to the kitchen. It's dark. We have these old beams put in the 70s, and there's just a lamp on the table. There's no lighting. So we can actually, cut holes in the drywall, put in can lights in the ceiling, put them on a dimmer, patch up the drywall. Those things are pretty easy to do when we're already there working in the kitchen. But all of a sudden, their family room and their fireplace has accent lighting. Their family room might have dimmers with cans, and the whole room just feels like a new space.
Sure. Another really great project for this time of year, the interior doors. What are some things that you can do to kind of spruce up the doors for the interior rooms of your home?
Well, that's the biggest thing we see are people that have, for example, brass hardware. The hinges and the doorknobs are brass. It's a finish that's kind of outdated. So the common question is, well, how do I just do it all at once? Do I bite the bullet and replace every door in the house? And we tell people they don't necessarily have to do that. If they want to just do a room at a time, a floor at a time, if there's a multi-floor house. But that's the most economical thing is going to a more up-to-date finish like a satin nickel, a brushed nickel, something like that. But don't forget, if you do the door knobs, you got to think about the hinges.
Yeah.
Those stand out too if they're not the right finish.
Yep.
The other thing is, if we're doing a project, we might update the style of the door. You don't have to have every door in the house match. That's something people worry about. There's nothing wrong with, again, tackling that a room at a time or a floor at a time.
Yeah. I know something that we saw recently is we had an article from one of our service providers about reclaimed wood or using things like taking an old barn door and installing it as a sliding door inside the home. Are you seeing any different kinds of trends where people are trying different things like that in the home? Because you talked about how, not everything needs to match.
Yeah, one of the trends, and we just went to the Builders Show in Las Vegas last spring, and there was all kinds of vendors selling kind of barn door hardware. So replacing a closet door or a hallway door or a bedroom door with a kind of a bypass sliding door. The kind of that barn door look with decorative hardware. It's really a nice. It just looks good. It adds some design elements to the home, and so that's something people are doing, getting rid of that plain old regular pre-hung door that they have.
Yeah, no question. I feel like the winter months, as we talk about these interior projects, it really gives you the opportunity to be kind of creative, maybe more than you normally would, and thinking about ways that you can change the interior of your home, just in little ways to kind of start bringing out different parts of your home and make some changes that are really going to pop. You talked about jazzing it up. I think these are some good ideas of how you can incorporate that mentality into home projects that you're taking on this winter. We're actually going to take a break really quick, but we are far from finished here. When we return, we're going to share some information about financing your home remodel and home improvement projects in our What's Trending segment, and then we'll take your listener questions and get you some answers from Larry Greene. He's here today from Case Design and Remodeling right here in Indianapolis. Stay with us. We'll be right back. It's Chat with the Experts, brought to you by Angie's List.
More than 2 million members use the power of Angie's List to find and hire great local service providers. Whether you need a plumber or a pet sitter, Angie's List has you covered. See ratings and reviews in hundreds of categories, shop popular offers, and request scheduling assistance directly online. Memberships start at just $9.99 per year. That's less than $1 a month. Join now and get 40% off with promo code WIBC40. Visit angieslist.com today.